Hey guys, welcome back to Lakeside Quilt Making Arts. I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad to be here. I'm sitting at the park on a Sunday afternoon talking to you about quilting. That's a pretty good day in my books. Hey, before we get started, the audio on the last video, if you've watched that, will you let me know if it was too loud for you or too soft? It's just so peaceful here. And there were fishermen nearby when I was shooting the last video that I was kind of sensitive to that, and I was just too soft-spoken. So I raised it up in the editing app. I raised it up to 4 times the level, 400%. And so if that made it too loud on your end, please let me know. I want to make sure that this is something that you enjoy digesting my content. The purpose of this video is decluttering, which is a video I thought I would never make. In fact, I had been seeing Karen Brown from Just Get It Done Quilts posting her videos about decluttering, and I wasn't watching them because I was telling myself, no, I don't need to watch anybody else talk about decluttering. I know how to declutter. I'm just not in that mode right now. I want to get in there and finish this quilt. I want to make time and space to do these other projects that are piling up in my mind. And then the pressure was on for me in a sense too, because I was watching the quilt show and they were launching their block of the month. And I thought, if I don't start the block of the month with everybody else at the first of the year, I probably won't do it. And I think there's a lot for me to learn from the quilt show's block of the month this year, because it's handwork, at least the way the designer of the block of the month had it, the way she created it. Now, the way Barbara Black is actually teaching it involves, I think, mostly machine quilting or machine piecing. And that's great, but I'm really attracted to it because it is handwork. And I'll talk more about that project later. But I wanted to get started on that at the same time as everybody else, so I'm not behind the 8 ball, you know. And I just can't do that with a messy studio. So I thought, okay, I'll just go in and I'll make a little hole in my mess of fabrics that I've got going on from doing the Mars quilt, and I'll work on creating my templates. Well, I couldn't do it because as I was working on those templates, I could see all the mess on the table, and I could see on the floor beyond it, I could see 3 different piles, and then on the rocking chair, another pile. And so I just had to say, no, we're going to take care of this. We're going to do things right, but I'm not going to overwhelm myself. I don't have to do the entire room. I just need to straighten up my table, and I need to straighten up these 3 piles, 4 piles really, but if you include what's on the rocking chair. So that's what I did, and it served me well. It felt good to do it. I was able to go through the 1 pile that was left over from my long armor, who had quilted what I call my twin Minnesota quilts. They were produced by Vasilando Studios. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly. But the quilting project that had come back from the long armor was for 2 quilts. And so I just sent to her a lot of yardage and batting. And so what came back, and once I cut away the excess material from the quilt so I could get them bound, I just didn't deal with all that. It just made a pile in those original bags, and I just let it sit there through the rest of the holidays, because my objective was to get them bound and to the people they go to. And then I had some other things I had to put away and find homes for, which meant I needed to pull down my fabric and get things sorted through. It was just, it just a little tedious. But it wasn't. It probably took me 30 minutes. I set out to do 15 minutes because that's what they always say with decluttering videos, that you just break it down. And that's what Karen was talking about. She was talking about, things like shelf space. How much shelf space do you dedicate to this and that? And like, just do your books this today. Do this day. Do you just get rid of trash? Repurposing things out of the home, out of the space. That kind of just breaking it down, just making it small, bite sizes, so it's not overwhelming, something you can manage. So I set out to do 15 minutes, and I did 30 minutes. And it feels good because I got my table to where I could function, and I did a project that I'll make another video about, and that's the block of the month, getting started on the block of the month for the quilt show's Pick a Petal. And I'm really excited about that. I worked on that last night, and I'll make sure I do a video on that, and of course include it on the weekly report on Friday. I wasn't going to do a video on decluttering, but Karen inspired me. And if I can inspire you, then that's great, because you're going to be more functional. It clears your mind. You can be more creative when you're in a space that allows you to see what you're working on. Now, I'm an artist, just like everybody else. I've got two people inside of me. I got the person who loves to get messy and have all the things going on, because it's just part of the design process, part of the creative process. And that would be fine if I was in a warehouse space or like a garage studio or something dedicated to that I could just close the door on and it wasn't part of my home. But this is part of my home. It's outside of the foyer. There's two doors going into it, one coming from the living room and one coming from the foyer. If I let it get dark before I close my windows, you can see in from the street too. It matters to me that it stays reasonably neat for just my living space, right? And it also matters to me inside the space. Now, working on the crumb quilting for the Mars quilt, which is the layers of rock around the settlement of the Mars quilt, it's a great little project because it's almost mindless, but it just gets messy. There's just so much going on with, you got all the fabric out at one time because you're cutting little bitty pieces after another little bitty piece, another little bitty piece. So it's not really like anything you can do a lot of pre-cutting and then put that away and then sit down to piecing and laying out your piece blocks and whatever. It's not like that. And that's one level of creative expression that is fun. But every once in a while, I just need to have a clean palette, and that's what I did. Like I said, I wanted to start on the blocks of the month, and, I needed a little bit of space to do that. So I went in, I got my caffeine ready, and I was double fisting it with my electrolytes and my hot tea and my comfy clothes for a Saturday, and I just went in and said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to clear things away. And that's what I did. And then I was able to work on creating those templates. The next video is going to be about the block of the month for the quilt show. The templates in particular. This was my first time in making templates, and I've learned some things, and it worked. It was fun figuring them out, but the best part was I got to figure them out in a clean studio. So this is my attempt to inspire you. If you can take 15 minutes, go to your space, and maybe it's not even your studio. Maybe it's your bathroom, maybe it's your bedroom, whatever. Maybe it's all your Christmas stuff before you lock the door on that cabinet or that storage unit, wherever you keep all your Christmas things, and get all that organized, You're pulling out your decorations, getting ready for Valentine's or just your winter decorations. Just time to organize, reclaim your house. It's been taken over by the holidays, and now it's time for it to be your space again, and enjoy it, make it cozy. So this is my attempt to do just that. Inspire you like Karen inspired me. We'll talk to you later. Thanks for stopping by.